Unlike what we've been told in school, some flat earthers imagine the Earth looks like a snow globe, round but not sphere. The North Pole is at the center of most flat Earth maps, with the ice of Antarctica holding everything in.
So are you certain this is what the Earth looks like?
Pretty sure. Almost. I mean, there are some details to be worked out, sure, but the basic concept is sound. Absolutely sound. And one thing, again, we absolutely know for a fact, this ain't it.
So those iconic blue marble images seen from space, flat earthers denounce them as fakes.
You start seeing words like composite or animation or something that tells you this is not an actual photograph of the Earth.
And that's the real point of the video that I still need to get done, which is the so-called number one proof why we know the Earth's a globe, being photographic evidence. And oddly enough, the thing that should be the slam dunk proof is actually one of the most damning. In fact, as soon as you start looking into the photographic evidence to try to debunk flat Earth, you're going to end up becoming a flat Earth believer, because that's all it takes is looking into the fraudulent pictures, and there are lots of them, pictures and video, of the Earth that simply are not true.
At first, I had the thought that everybody else has. We've all seen the pictures. But those pictures come from NASA, the military, and the government. But I'm going to look into it anyway. So as I start looking into those pictures and realizing they are either questionable at best, when you see the Apollo 11 footage of the astronauts faking the globular shape of the Earth through a round window in their spacecraft, that gives you a real big red flag going, what's up with that, and then you don't really get a picture of the Earth until the Apollo 17 famous one that we've all seen. And then Matt Boylan comes out and he's like, that's a painting. And so, I'm looking at, I'm an artist, I'm a painter, not quite as good as some of these guys like Matt Boylan is. I mean, he's very photorealistic with his artwork. But I'm questioning it now, and then you look at all the other blue marbles that they put out, and they are, if you read the fine print, they're telling you these are composite images. This is artwork. This is, and when you look into the composite images, they're not even good composite images. They're very bad composite images. I'm a Photoshop guy. I live in Photoshop. Almost every day I'm doing something in Photoshop. I can show you and have shown people the clone, where they're using the clone tool to replicate clouds. This cloud is exactly the same as this cloud. These 5 clouds are exactly the same as this one, and showing you they're using the Photoshop clone tool. And you're like, well, wait a minute. You're telling us we're taking pictures of Pluto. We've taken pictures of Jupiter and Saturn, supposedly massively huge planets, way bigger than ours. And yet we have to have cartoon artwork and bad composite Photoshop images of our world? Really? Then you start seeing videos, allegedly shot time-lapse videos from satellites showing the Earth in rotation. In one case, 25 hours of time-lapse rotation, and the clouds aren't changing. You're like, and some people say, well, they really are. You just got to get a higher resolution. And I've looked at the higher resolution one, which I question because I don't even think they had that ability in 1990. So it looks like somebody just redid it. But even still, the amount of movement that you were seeing is negligible for 25 hours. Set a camera up outside for an hour and then speed it up on your computer and see how much cloud movement you get. So I began to question all of it. And but what caught my attention about that particular one is up in the upper right-hand corner of that particular marble, there's a odd-looking cloud formation that looks like sort of a backward C with a long tail that kind of wraps around the top part of the globe there. And it caught my attention because I was like, where did I see that before? Just that shape. I'm like, where did I see that before? And I started looking through videos that I'd seen recently, and I saw 2 different videos. One was, I think it was on Netflix, The Universe, I think was the title of the show. And it was basically a transition, a video transition. Like a wipe that was being used. They used that same Earth, but it wasn't a static picture. It was a moving, rotating globe. Yeah. And it had that exact same cloud formation in it. And then I started seeing it, once my eyes were open to it, I started seeing it pop up in several other videos and go, okay, how nice of NASA not only to take a picture of the Earth, but to make a perfect 3D model that videographers can use for their video productions for transitions. And so that's when I realized, we're playing with 3D models here. This is not photographic evidence. And I, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, well, back in 2004, I got hired as a missionary, but I was a multimedia missionary. My job was to get entrenched with the missionaries, do what they do, but to document it on video, come back and make videos to help them create awareness and raise support and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So being that I was in global missions, I made a 3D model of the Earth that I used a lot. Okay, we're going to Kazakhstan. So I would do a zoom out of Addison, Texas to Kazakhstan, and I use this globe thing, as much as I use Google Earth, I use this globe that I made. Mm-hmm. And when I was comparing the globe that I made, and, when I say that, I say I made it loosely. There are tutorials that you can follow by downloading various maps from NASA and mapping them onto a ball that you create in 3D, and mm-hmm. then with the clouds on and, make it daytime, nighttime, whatever. Yeah. So it's not like I'm creating it from scratch. I'm using available stuff. But when I did that and I would compare the globe that I made in 2006, it looked a lot better, at least in my humble and unbiased opinion, as Kent Hovind would say, than the blue marbles that were being passed off as authentic pictures of the Earth. Yeah. And so I'm like, look, if I can do this with off-the-shelf software that costs less than $300, what can these guys do with practically unlimited budgets, Yep. And so the photographic evidence was falling apart for me.
Yes, question.
So if you think you have questions,
feel free to line up and ask them while I'm reading the opening statement.
The flat earthers have many, many more.
This is what returns to Earth.
Which is why I thought someone who's actually seen the Earth from space might have some answers.
1 + 1 is?
2.
What color is the sky?
Blue.
And the Earth is?
Round. Just like it is here, this model of it.
Okay, this is, in my opinion, where Eva dropped the ball. She went from being an investigative journalist to engaging in confirmation bias. Now, she was a newcomer to all this. She really didn't know anything about any of this stuff until like a day or two before she came and did the interviews. She was just given an assignment. And so, even as you heard her say, with Mark Sargent, she said it a few times with me, anybody that she was talking to, you could tell she thought the whole thing was crazy to begin with. This is crazy. Many people watching this are going to think this is crazy. So that's the mindset. And you can't blame her for that. She's just dealing with the same programming we've all had. We all had that exact same knee-jerk reaction. We all said the same thing. This is crazy. This is stupid. Until we actually spent the time to look into it. Now, in the extended version of the interview that she did with me, I challenged her. I challenged her and ABC News to get out there and do some tests. Well, they didn't do that. They went and engaged in confirmation bias and went and got somebody that they perceived to be an authoritative source that they could go to and confirm what they already believe. Well, I mean, that's not investigative journalism. Now, first of all, they're looking at a model, and he said the Earth is round. Well, yep, it is round. Circles are round, so he's not lying. But then they're looking at this yellowish green and orange globe behind them, saying it's just like this model right here. But what's really funny is the guy that she picked.
Professor Mike Massimino spent more than 20 days in space and worked on the Hubble telescope.
So when you looked at the planet, what did it look like?
It looks round, folks. It is round. My eyewitness account. And I looked at it as much as I could. It is round.
Okay, we're in the final countdown. How you doing over there?
He's played himself on the Big Bang Theory, but some flat earthers actually believe astronauts are just actors, part of a huge conspiracy going back to those very first steps on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is so funny to me because she goes to an astronaut who is actually an actor and a Freemason, or at least there's good reason to believe he is a Freemason. Why do I say that? Well, somebody sent to me an interesting PDF. It's from MasonicHomeNewYork.org or ny.org. It's at the Empire State Mason Winter 2015. All kinds of stuff. Grandmaster this, that, and the other thing. Freemason, blah, 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 blah. Scroll down to page 11. announcing the 71st Annual Metropolitan Region's Masons and Families Dedication Service and Breakfast, sponsored by the Masonic Brotherhood Foundation Incorporated. And looky, who's represented here as one of the past keynote speakers. And it's interesting to me that the guy before him, it gives a name and what these guys represent. The guy before him is billed as a former actor and humanitarian, right before Dr. Michael Massimino, NASA astronaut. And in the extended version of the interview that she did with me, I actually said, yeah, I started talking about the fact that many of the astronauts are Freemasons. She's like, you got something against the Freemasons? I'm like, yeah, I do. So she picks an astronaut who is both either a Freemason himself or certainly friendly with them, and an actor who's pimping for the Big Bang Theory, no less. And that's what this whole Copernican model is all about. Evolution is not even remotely plausible without the Copernican model and the Big Bang Theory that allegedly created it. So you have, let's say, a potential Mason and an actor pimping for the Big Bang, all in that one little piece right there. Wow. Anyway, that was rather telling, in my opinion.